10 Celebrities Who Married Their Fans. Academy Award-winning actor and professional weird guy Nicolas Cage met his third wife, Alice Kim, in 2004 when he was filming National Treasure. Cage was at a nightclub when a waiter introduced him to Kim, who was a fan of his acting, supposedly. When Cage met Kim, she was a former sushi waiter who still lived with her mother. At first, Cage, who had been married to Patricia Arquette and Lisa Marie Presley, was unsure how to court Kim. Yet he did something right, because they were married 6 months later. The couple has one son, Kall. As in Superman's birth name. And no, we're not making that up. Sadly, the couple split up in January 2016 after almost 12 years together. So watch out ladies, Nick Cage is on the prowl. Actor Patrick Dempsey met his second wife Gillian Fink in 1994, when Fink started working with Dempsey on his most valuable commodity. So, no, Fink wasn't Dempsey's acting coach. She was his hairstylist. Fink had supposedly been a fan of Dempsey's before she cut his hair. He called to make an appointment at her salon and Fink didn't think he would show up. Yet he did, and Dempsey was probably impressed because someone actually recognized him. This was 1994, a long time before Grey's Anatomy. Over the next 3 years, they flirted with each other whenever he got his hair cut, but they didn't start dating until 1997. They married in 1999 and have 3 children together. Fink continued to cut Dempsey's hair throughout his career. This may explain why the couple changed their mind and decided to stay together after announcing they were divorcing in 2015. Star of Frasier and the voice of Sideshow Bob on The Simpsons, Kelsey Grammer met Kate Walsh while on a plane in 2010. Less than a year later, she would become his 4th wife. What can we say? He's a romantic. Walsh was an attendant on a flight he took to England. He asked her out for coffee, and it was happily ever after. No, just kidding. When he met Walsh, Kelsey was married to Camille Grammer, a reality star on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The disintegration of their marriage became material for the show and fodder for the tabloids. But if you forget all that, it was kind of fairy tale-esque. Kelsey divorced Camille after 13 years together, and 15 days after the divorce was finalized, he married Walsh. Like we said, the guy's a romantic. The couple is still married at the time of this writing and they have 2 children together. In 2000, Conan O'Brien was doing a bid for his show where he visited a marketing firm. While there, he met Liza Powell, who was a senior copywriter at the firm. Conan says he fell in love with her instantly. In fact, in the blurry video above you can actually watch the segment where O'Brien meets Powell for the first time. After filming the segment, O'Brien asked out Powell. Since she was a fan, she said yes. They dated for nearly a year and a half before they married in 2002. The couple is still together and have a daughter and a son. When you think of the rock star life, groupies are probably a major part of it. But that wasn't the case for Billie Joe Armstrong, lead singer of Green Day. Armstrong met his wife, Adrienne Nesser, in 1990 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, when she came to see Green Day on their first tour. There were immediate sparks, but Armstrong was already in a relationship. Plus, he lived in California when he wasn't touring, while Nesser was a college student in Minneapolis. They stayed in contact and Billie Joe even wrote a song about Nesser called 2,000 Light Years Away. After a few years apart, the couple dated for a short time and married on July 2, 1994. The day after the wedding, Nesser found out she was pregnant. Today, the couple has 2 sons and they are still together. In mid-June 2008, Academy Award-winning actress Anne Hathaway broke up with her long-term boyfriend Raffaello Follieri, after he was arrested for defrauding millions of dollars from investors. In the fall of 2008, a mutual friend introduced her to one of her fans, Adam Schulman, an actor with a bit part in movies like The Dukes of Hazzard, The Beginning. He's also a jewelry designer. There was an immediate spark between the two. However, both Hathaway and Schulman thought the other one was already in a relationship, so no one made the first move. When they figured out they were both single, Hathaway said things sped up quickly. The movie star and her fan were married in September 2012 and had their first child, a boy, in March 2016. In 2003, Academy Award-winning writer, who occasionally acts as well, we're told, Matt Damon was emerging as one of the biggest movie stars of his generation with hits like The Bourne Identity, Ocean's 11, and Good Will Hunting under his belt. At the time, he was filming Stuck on You with the Farrelly brothers. They were supposed to be filming in Hawaii, but it got changed and the shoot was moved to Miami. After wrapping for a day, the crew went out to a club and Damon went with them. After being mobbed by fans, he snuck away to a quieter part of the bar, and when he did, he saw bartender Luciana Barroso across the room. He went and talked to her, and it turned out that she was a fan of his. We'll ignore the irony of him going over to talk to a fan in an effort to escape fans. He asked her out and they were married 2 years later at a secret ceremony at City Hall in New York City. The couple has 2 girls, and Damon is also helping to raise Barroso's 2 daughters from her previous marriage. We know what you're thinking, Kelly Preston is a celebrity. But there was a time when she was just a teenager, and that's when she first became enamored with her future husband. Apparently, she decided she was going to marry John Travolta when she was 16. That's when she saw him on the poster for Grease. While a lot of young women probably thought the same thing when they saw Travolta in the mid-1970s, Preston actually got to follow through with her dream. The two met for the first time in 1988 while shooting the movie The Experts in Toronto, Ontario. At the time, both of them were in relationships. They stayed in contact and 3 years later, they were reunited in Vancouver, British Columbia. Travolta simply asked Preston if she wanted to start dating, and she agreed. So let that be a lesson, Canada really is the land of love. Preston and Travolta married in September 1991, which totally sounded the death knell for the rumors that Travolta may be gay, and it was never talked about again, by anyone, ever. When we talk about the Hanson brothers, we are not referring to the goons in the movie Slapstick, who are also folk heroes in Canada. We are, of course, talking about the band who launched to pop stardom in 1997 with their hit song Bop. At the time, the members of the band, Isaac, Taylor, and Zach, were between the ages of 11 and 16. Many people think of them as one-hit wonders, and while they never achieved the same success as Bop, they released 6 other albums and continued to tour. While on these tours, all 3 brothers met the women who would become their wives when the women came to their concerts. Isaac, the eldest, spotted Nicole Dufresne at a show in New Orleans in 2003, and they were married in 2005. Taylor, the middle brother, met his wife, Natalie Ann Bryant, in 2000, and they married in 2001. Finally, Zach met his wife, Kate Tucker, at the same concert that Taylor met Natalie. They were married in 2007. All 3 brothers are still with their wives and they have 11 children between them. Easily, the creepiest story of a celebrity marrying a fan is Elvis and Priscilla Wagner. The two met in September 1959. Elvis was already a star, but had been drafted into the army and was stationed in Germany. That's when Elvis, who was 24, met Priscilla, who was 14. He was immediately smitten. Priscilla was American, living in Germany because her stepfather was stationed there with the Air Force. Initially, Priscilla's parents were against them dating. However, Elvis was able to persuade them to let him take her out. They wouldn't meet again until 1962, when her parents agreed to let their 17-year-old daughter visit the rock star. In 1963, before she even graduated from high school, she moved in with him at Graceland. They married 4 years later. There are rumors that the marriage only happened because Elvis was threatened and blackmailed into it, including threats about going to the police for taking a minor across state lines for sexual purposes. This would have been devastating to Elvis. His record label could have dropped him due to a moral clause in his contract. He grudgingly agreed, and they were wed on May 1, 1967. In what we're sure was a complete coincidence, Priscilla gave birth to their only child, Lisa Marie, exactly 9 months later. Lisa Marie would go on to marry both Nicolas Cage and Michael Jackson. Elvis and Priscilla's marriage lasted less than 5 years. In 1972, Priscilla started having an affair with her karate instructor. Their divorce was finalized in October 1973. Elvis died 4 years later at 42.